So, spoilers ahead. Just warning. So this I'm going to talk a bit about game I'm replaying now. I think the third or fourth time, which means that the game in itself is pretty good, although it has its issues like places where we can get stuck. Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. Now, what I'm going to talk is about a time paradox that apparently no one noticed, and I just wanted to briefly speak my thoughts on it. So basically, my idea is the problem is like this: you have a time loop where basically the Prince of Persia keeps going back in time, kills the Empress, and then as a result everything happens. Basically you get a whole story with the vizier and everything else. Now there are a number of problems with that. First of all, this cannot be the first time, the first timeline, okay? And second, you have the problem with the following game, in the sense that if this is the time loop, it shouldn't change what happens in that time. Basically what happens, the vizier should still be dead, and so on. Anyway, let's the next game, let's put this inconsistency to how he changes the past. But anyway, to put it simply, the problem is like this: to get to the past, the Prince of Persia needs the Sands of Time, but to get the Sands of Time in the portals, he needs, guess what? For Kaileena dead. So he cannot kill Kaileena without going back in time. He cannot go back in time without the Sands, and he cannot get the Sands without killing Kaileena. You see the problem? So my theory, based on a lot of things, like the fact that Kaileena has a stitch mark around her neck, very clear stitch mark, and based on the fact that you have this altar where someone has been sacrificed, where you get to fight Shaidi, well, you get to the final the following conclusion: the Empress of Time is in effect an undead. He was killed to whatever deity some time ago, stitched back together, and then she became the Empress of Time. As a result, so as a result of her being sacrificed and becoming the Empress of Time, you get the portals. So whoever sacrificed her created also the portals as a result. Now another interesting thing is that okay, she knows the future because she's in a time loop and so on, and so she prepares the hourglass and so on. Here's the thing: why does she prepare the hourglass? As a way to catch the sands of time. it seems to me that the hourglass existed long before that, and the original purpose was something extremely different, and only as a result of the time loop it was used for that. That being said, it is also possible that whoever created the portals first basically were the ones that created the hourglass and set in motion the whole circular thing. Now, the dagger that the prince uses is probably the dagger that was originally used to kill Kaileena, and probably the only thing that can kill her again, this time for good. And as a result, it's how can I explain that? It has its magical properties, okay? Another puzzling thing is that, okay, so they killed Kaileena to get the sands of time, but how did they know that this will generate the sands of time? Is it something like maybe the sands of time already existed somewhere and they just use Kaileena as a vessel to control it? Is it something else? Also, an interesting thing is that everything except Kaileena seems to be infected by the sands of time in the trilogy and other associated games. So my question is why certain people do not get infected by the sands of time. Why doesn't Shadi, which doesn't seem to have any item to prevent this, why doesn't Kaileena, why doesn't the prince? Well, the prince has an item, but it would not have the item the first time he goes through, so it's very confusing in a way. But anyway, it seems that the sands of time do not infect everyone, and at least before Kaileena's second death, it seems that they only infect the dead. Basically, to be infected you have to be already dead, and for some reason it depends. I mean, here's the interesting fact: when Kaileena and Shadi die, they just transform in sands of time, but when the army dies, it first transforms into the undead army and then into the sands of time. So the question is why? It's a very interesting inconsistency, and it would be nice to have something like a lore piece on this. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, and if you have anything to comment on this, that would be nice.